Hello everyone, it's Kyle from Regrettable Props here. I know it's been a while since we've done a build video, but you see, we are working on the Mandalorian project I'm working on, doing Season 2 armor style. The only reason I say that is because it's full Beskar, and his thigh on his right leg is a little bit different. What we have here so far is the Mandalorian or Boba Fett templates from Punished Props. I will link a video description, link to their original video in the description, so that way you can follow along their video. It's about an hour long, going over their whole process for making Boba Fett. And however, they don't go over too much of the building of the Mandalorian armor. So they included templates for it. There's a few extra pieces, some template parts. Some of the pieces don't have templates, like the long strip that goes over the top. There's these two side pieces which we need to put on both sides. They provide the left side, and then at the very back there's some extra detail for how they have the back there. Also, you can see it's out of foam, obviously, 5mm, and I'll try and get the camera to focus on this. It is very rough. I don't know if you can tell. Some of the seams are not lining up, and the nature of the beast working with hot glue is you got strings everywhere and spillage from the hot glue spilling out of your seams. The reason I'm fine with this because I like to show you guys how I work through the process of fixing such a fuck up of a cosplay helmet, to be honest. Because it's very rough. Like, this stuck to the table, and you can see there's a large gap there. So I'm keeping this to move along, keep on working. But I just need to go look at some reference pictures to see how I'm gonna fix the rest of this. So I'll tune back in a second. Now, it might be hard for you guys to see this piece of paper because I was running out of ink, and my printer's having some issues. I just bought some ink for it, and it's obviously not spitting out enough black ink. However, you can kind of see this piece here. It was lined up like this on their templates, and from my opinion, these extra side pieces would be better done in 10mm because there are some angles and depth that we need to add for the details on these pieces, and it would look better in 10mm as opposed to 5. So I have some 10mm here. We're gonna cut them out. I'm gonna cut 2 of these and then 2 of these, but just flip this one for the other side of the orientation. And get that going. Because once we have these cut out, I'm gonna cut this template apart further to separate it from more detail. Okay, so you can see that's what we got so far. And I'll separate this to make it easier for cutting. Doing 90-degree cuts for now. So as you can see here, I'm just going to separate this top part of that detail piece. I just sharpened my blade. Either change it out, guys, or sharpen yours. You want this to be a very clean cut, of course. just gonna cut down into this. Cut out that little section. So then all those extra pieces are the reason we went through cutting off all those sections to help us indicate how we're going to bevel this, because each of these are going to have like a 45-degree bevel going this way, across the bottom, and then across this side. So be careful, have your blade run along this edge here and just before the bottom, that way it doesn't cut all the way through, okay? Pretty clean. We can always sand this up afterwards. Just like that. Okay. Let's get this in focus. So as you can see, 45 across the bottom, here and here. A little bit of a lip along here, but that's fine. We're going to sand it out so this kind of rounds over. And then obviously we can glue this back up, and that's part of it. I'm going to do that to the other side. And then we just have to cut out these pieces if it will focus. Okay? So I'm just going to cut that out, and then I'll pan back once I have this. I cut out these two pieces, okay? Okay, cut out these two pieces, separate this a little bit further. Let's get the focus there, so that way this, actually we're going to use this piece here, it's a little more flimsy. So just do the same like that for your piece. So we're going to do a couple things now. This center inner piece that you cut away, we're going to score the outside of it, okay? So that way when we go over with a heat gun, that line pops. And then following that edge, or going around this, so our blades tapered outwards like such, we're not going to do 45 degrees. We're not going to do 40. I don't know, just leave it so it's about halfway through, or even anywhere from halfway to a quarter through. That way you have a slight taper on this outside edge before we cut out and take the center part, okay? So I'm just gonna do that now, make sure I'm in frame. Let's get this sharp first. Perfect. So that way when I hit a heat gun on that, it opens up. And we should probably take out the section first, that way we don't lose the landmarking by when we taper this. So I'm gonna get I'll be right back, I'm gonna get a smaller X-Acto blade. These might seem rounded, but do these to be 90-degree corners here, and then following this semi-circle shape. Take your time. Alright, so we're just gonna cut this in half, okay? Just gonna use some scissors because that's what I got. And we're just gonna glue that back into place. Alright. So that way it's done like that. And now we're gonna go do the tricky hard part. I mean, this might be easier using a Dremel, going on slow speed, that way you control how much you come off with. You're taking off. I actually am gonna do that instead of this, because this is gonna be very flimsy trying to cut through. Now that we removed it, I mean, it's a little bit easier to try and figure out the placement of this indentation, but it's gonna be easier now just to take this off the Dremel. Okay, so I will jump back to that when I am doing that, because I'll use a Dremel to take down this edge up to that mark where we cut, and I'll also use a Dremel to sand this out further, round over these edges a little bit, and then same for this. So before I actually go downstairs to Dremel this, there's a couple more pieces I need to add onto the helmet. There is this back section, this piece that goes in the very back. Has a part that you cut out, and then I cut it on some 5mm foam. We're gonna cut out this section here, which I cut away, and then if you can read this, it says, get the focus, 2mm times 6. So I'm gonna use 2mm foam for these pieces here, and they kind of stack over top of each other just like that. So I'm gonna cut this out first. Got some 2mm foam here. Like I mentioned, I'm struggling with a broken pinky. Alright. We're gonna do 6 of these. Keep on doing this for the rest of them, and then we're gonna have them stack on top of each other, so that way they're kind of overlapping like that and just carrying down. So we're gonna get glued together here, these pieces of 6 into this little insert we cut out, and it's gonna go onto the back of this, about here I think. It's roughly in line. Okay, so I'm gonna step off camera and hot glue this. So now I'm gonna use 5mm foam, the same thickness for this piece here, to create a strip that goes across the top of the middle of the helmet all the way down to the front here. Okay, it's gonna be 1.5 inches wide, and it's gonna be 5mm. So the camera battery died. I'm not sure how far it got with recording of what I was gonna say, but however, 1.5 inch strip of 5mm foam, the width is 1.5 inches. Cut it to oversize, and this is what the end of it is supposed to be. I went about 5mm from the edge. I'm gonna glue this in place. We're gonna take also an X-Acto blade. So with this being 1.5 inches wide, we're gonna go at the 1/2 inch mark. In the inch mark, give a little score, and that's where we're gonna set, so that when we use the Dremel, or if you use an X-Acto blade for tapering this to like a point, we're going about 1/2 inch in on each side, and I'm just gonna actually use a ruler to lay this out, so that way I can score it, and then when we take it down to the Dremel, you're gonna see where I'm beveling up till that 1/2 inch point on each side. Okay, so I'm gonna do that, and next time you see me, it's gonna be where I'm dremeling. I'm going to use a 220 grit sandpaper to go over and kind of smooth everything out before I heat seal, and then apply caulking to go over the seams and fill in some of these nasty holes that we got. I also forgot to show that I did the groove just underneath the bridge a little bit. I went a little wonky in some sections. That's okay with me. I can fix it with some Qwik seal, the caulking, or some of that clay foam I have. So as you can see, the difference in sanding, hopefully you remember the texture, what it was like. Very rough. That can get smoothed out even more with the heat sealing and Qwik sealing, going over everything. So that's what I'm going to do now. Turn on the heat gun so we can get this kind of wrapped up. We're almost there in terms of building. And you can see these are really popping. And same with this bridge, yeah, I guess that's the word. So anyways, that's Colin from Regrettable Props. In the description will be the link to Punisher's Prop initial video of them building this helmet, the Boba Fett style. 5mm for the blue and black, 2mm for the orange, and this teal color, it's 10mm, okay? That's all gonna be listed in the description. I used hot glue when I should use contact cement, but in all my stores I've gone to, I still have not found a good brand. I'm gonna look at ordering some off of Amazon, either a Barge or another brand I see everyone using online. So anyways, that's Kyle from Regrettable Props. Check the description for more information, and thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's been a little bit. Don't expect the regular uploads. Expect them to kind of come up when they do. Anyways, have a good night or day. Bye.